we're down in your plots. It's getting cold. The light is fading. I'm running out of storage on my phone, possibly even battery. So this could be a bit quick and dirty. So quick plot update. Everything's looking lush. Some of them are very weed infested, I admit that, although Brett, even the ones down the back that were terrible, he is really getting on top of it. But the exciting news is the broccoli, even since I last videoed them, are just powering. I mean, these heads that are forming are really just magnificent. So just quietly, we will work out ways, for you to accidentally be walking past at some point. So now, but what I want to show you now is the ochre as well. So that was in the lecture I talked about ochre. Remember, Oxalis tuberosa. It's actually been a bit attacked by aphids, but that's okay. It's a tough plant, and remembering that these guys will not start forming the tubers until after equinox. So that's now, what are we now? Yeah, it's nearly 2 months ago. It's at least 8 weeks ago. So they're pretty good. So you could start eating them now, although it's good to let them get a little bit bigger because they really do love this kind of temperature. Roughly speaking, the temperature regime at the moment is, again, roughly kind of like where they come from in the Andes. All right, so this is actually quite cold up there. So I'm just going to yank this one out. I don't have my trowel on me. Actually, no, I won't yank out because these need to get a bit bigger. Sash, I don't know if you can see.
Have a look.
Yeah, it varies from plot to plot. So these guys, they need a few more weeks.
It's not big enough yet.
Not big enough yet. Oops, that one's broken off.
But it's pretty cool that you can sort of have a little peek.
You can have a peek. They grow very much on the surface. Remembering these are stem. Yeah. Oh, there's a good one. So these are stem tubers. All right. Very similar to a potato. What's happening is you have the main stem here. They throw out this stem material, which is a stolon, so like a surface piece of stem material. It can go a little bit deep, not as deep as a potato, and then they start swelling. I think they're very unusual plants, and that is just, how bizarre is it to have a pink carbohydrate or starchy tuber form in the black soil, right? It's just such a novelty. Let's just see if these ones down here are a bit bigger. Whose plot is this?
That'll be Kate McCracken.
Yeah, not with us at the moment. She'll come back next year, I hope. Hope you come back, Kate. Good zucchinis, a couple of really nice zucchinis to finish off with. And look at this. See this behaviour here. The stems turning into stolons, right? Meaning stem material that's creeping along the surface. And then the tubers are beginning to swell and pushing into the soil. So let's see on the other side. Yeah, here we go. Look at that. They're being very... that's why they're so clean as well, because they're not really... Yeah, there it is. So that's buried itself a bit better. So I think, on balance...
They're so clever, aren't they?
They are. And I think they're really... Oh, broke another one. Oh, God. So it's mid-May. I think... Oh, that's good. Actually, that's what I looked at the other day. So that's that's definitely, look at that. So you would pick that. So it's really, stem tubers on stem tubers, as it were. Okay.
Let's have a look at that one up close, Chris.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Nice.
All right. So again, in all seriousness, we will pick a lot of these and work out some way to get them to you, because you can't do this program even virtually and not taste these guys. All right. So yeah, this could cut out at any minute, but it is still going, isn't it, Sash?
Mm-hmm.
It is. Just quickly, we'll come back and do a better update at some point, but just to explain to you what this area is here. This is some of my novel crop planting, and there's a few ex-students who have plots here. But by and large, I've got various things in here. I've got yams, I've got taro. I'll come and quickly talk to you about yam daisy, because in my lecture I realised I wasn't very specific about some of the indigenous crops, and I genuinely apologise for that. I was just sort of, I guess, being a bit broad. things have been eating them. No, they just died back.
This is
these-
Microceras?
Yeah, this is Microceras. So it's so yam daisies were a staple of Indigenous people in Victoria, as many of you will know, and so a lot of these I grew from seed. So these are they're going to regrow in. Actually, do they reshoot in winter? So this is not one of the ones I'm very familiar with, but they are perennial, so they are going to regrow. God, I hope they are, or maybe they're not.
Uh-oh.
Oh wow, maybe they're done.
I hope not.
Oh well, you're watching, the Confused Horticulturist live here, or at least as it happens. Okay. I'll get back to you on that one. Get back to you on that.
Research required.
Research required. I do know people who know a lot about this plant, so I might have to get their help and advice. But this looked beautiful in summer. Actually, they might have been over-irrigated. They might have rotted.
Could have.
Because they were irrigated plus summer rain, and of course they're summer deciduous. That's what could have happened. Let's
It's all learning.
I mean, there's so much to show you, and might have to do another video explaining some of this stuff in detail. Let's get to the desert sweet potatoes. So in the lecture I mentioned to you that I've started to grow some indigenous crops, food produced, managed by Aboriginal people for tens of thousands of years, and this is one of my favourites. This is Ipomea costata. So it grows from Central Australia through to the West Australian coast. So it's a genuine arid zone plant, right? So extremely heat tolerant and forms these absolutely gigantic tubers. And I've been mucking around with this plant for years and only now getting more organised with the growing. What I've found is that they tend not to overwinter in Melbourne. So they're cold tolerant to the degree that they grow in the desert, but they don't like wet soil if it's cold. So you can see already, now these are grown from seed, and so that gives you genetic variation. So you can see that some things aren't coping. There's a few weeds there, but this specimen here so far looking good. It's possible that some of these might overwinter, which will be exciting, but just to make sure, this is why Amy and Claire and I...
See, that one maybe a bit
Yeah,
damage?
who knows? Who knows? We might be lucky. We've erected these little polytunnels because I know, in my experience, in a polytunnel at the nursery, you can drought them. If you can keep the moisture out of the soil, they're so drought tolerant in the sense that they just die back to their giant tubers, and then they will regrow quickly in spring. So that's the strategy there, to make sure we have some available, and I've got lots in the nursery which I'll show you at some point. And okay, so a couple of things. First of all, do they taste any good? Yeah, short answer is yes. They taste more like a water chestnut or a jicama, like a yam bean. So they're kind of firm and juicy. They're not starchy like a sweet potato. Remembering they're related. Ipomea is the genus for sweet potatoes. These guys are also Ipomea. When you read the ethnobotanical stuff about this plant, it's just incredibly, it gives you a bit of a sort of tingle up the spine or whatever, because you read about Aboriginal people in winter, they live off these things, including for water. They're so juicy, and I can confirm this, that you can actually live off them without needing to drink. So there's significant Aboriginal mythology and ceremony around this plant because, dare I say, unlike our friend the yam daisy, which are pretty small, these guys are massive. We're talking like the size of a sweet potato. So an incredibly valuable resource in a really harsh environment. And so like a sweet potato, they're easy to grow from cuttings. So that's significant. And I think they have great potential as a crop that could be more widely known. There's another species too that we grow, which is Ipomea colobra. And so Jess Gardner is the student that Beck Miller and I supervised, who looked at both these species and compared them to sweet potatoes. So when you think about it, it's so handy to have an indigenous food plant that's related to a globally significant commercial crop, because then you can kind of read the agronomic literature that's built up over the commercial one and see if it has any relevance to the indigenous one that's never been grown by non-Europeans, rather by Europeans before, right? So anyway, it looks like we're running out of battery. I'll just quickly tell you what this thing is before it conks out. I'll do a better explanation of all this at another time, I hope. Okay, so this area here, which is all under weed mat, there's actual real pumpkins in here, and this thing is a Malabar gourd. It's an absolute monster. This whole sea of vegetation you see here is 3 plants. It's Curcupita ficatifolia. It's used as rootstock for greenhouse cucumbers. It doesn't get diseases. Like, it's a bit of a triffid, to be honest. You can eat the shoots. It's frosty enough down here that it might knock it back, or it might just keep growing.
Let's have a look at the shoots.
Yeah, the shoots are pretty yummy.
How would you harvest that?
Just cut it.
For eating.
And then, stir fry that.
Wow.
It's really yummy, actually. I'm not sure. Yeah, that's not bitter. That's pretty good. That's nice. Bit hairy. Needs cooking. So the gourds themselves, you can eat them when they're young. We actually broke one open the other day.
Let's have a look at that flower.
Look, and then maybe they're a good substitute for zucchini. Cooking zucchini flowers. I'm not too sure. So.
He's a monster.
Yeah. So that thing, when it's fully mature, that can last up to 2 years. So it's really good survival food, probably really good pig food. And when the seeds go black, this one's not fully mature. There's allegedly some kind of, some sort of meal or snack. I think maybe it's like pumpkin seeds that have been created from the seeds. I need to look into it. So, hidden down here are real pumpkins at the moment. But so I think we'll wrap that up. It was a little bit rushed, but not to worry. We can come back, can't we, Sash?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
We'll
good.
see you next time.
Yep. See ya.